Hello, everyone, and welcome back. For those of you who don't know me, I'm S. Maxine Fisher, author, fiber artist, and queer parent of one, and welcome to another market video. We are getting ready for our first ever Pride show. And spoilers, I actually am filming this intro after the fact. I originally did not mean for this to be a two-parter, but as I was going back and editing the video, I realized how much time and energy I spent in prepping for this market, and then the fact that the market itself turned out to be a completely different conversation. I wanted to be able to split this up so that those who are just interested in the sales aspect of the market can watch this video. If you want to see the immense amount of effort I put into prepping for this market and the ridiculous number of plushies that went into it, go ahead and click the link to my channel and check out my previous video from the previous week. So without further ado, we are going to get into it. I am going to be in the car on my way to the market. It was a mad week, I can just say. It was like I was just flying by the seat of my pants, and I was just crocheting nonstop, packed the car, ran down to Dover, and boom, it was Pride week. We had literally just had another market the week beforehand, not 6 days before, so I was in crunch mode. So that's what you're getting when I jump into this video, and I am going to go through the market itself and lead up to it, as well as breakdown of how the market went and all the sales details that came out of this large public festival. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone, I am all packed up. We are on our way to Pride. I actually can see out the back. You can't see from this angle, but this is the bag of all the stuff that I've restocked, and we are packed to the gunnels. So I am hoping to not take any of this home with me, folks. I don't want to take any of this home with me. Please come visit my booth. All right, this is the first year we have been at Pride, so I am super excited. I probably won't have any footage of us setting up because we've got to start setting up at 8 and we will be open by 10. So we have a tight time frame to be working with. So I will see you folks after the show. Hi everyone. So it is the following week after the Pride Market. I am going to jump on and give you guys the recap. On the day of, it was a very tight time frame for setup. And so I did not get any video. I did not even get video of my table. It was that crazy. But I did post some pictures, so I will put those up here along the way of our table setup. It was a beautiful day, but it was also super, super hot. So when I got home, it took me about 2 days to recover. I was very tired, and so was my wife. So now we're just kind of getting back to normal, back in the groove. But I wanted to jump on today and I want to share some of the highlights of the market, how we did, and the final total sales count for this market. So without further ado, here we go. And I apologize, you hear my kitty cat in the background going brrr. She's like, it's snuggle me time. Lily, it's okay. It's snuggle time, huh? Not snuggle time yet. Okay, so first of all, let me give you, I won't give you the whole blow by blow of the day, but just some of the highlights. So Pride was from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. this year. Pride ran from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. this year. Our setup time was from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So you could not get on the green before 8 a.m. and you had to be off by 6. That meant we had exactly 2 hours. Really? So, tell me more. No, you cannot dig into my yarn wall. No, I don't want you crocheting with my yarn. Please and thank you. Come here. So we had from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to set up. We had 2 hours to set up and 1 hour to close. That meant that a lot of vendors ended up tearing down early. I feel like the prevailing advice is to stay open to the last second because that's when all the other vendors come around and you might get some last minute purchases. That did not happen, and at that point we were too hot and tired to care. So everybody was busy trying to tear down their market stalls at the end of the day. But backing up till the beginning, so we got there at 7:45 to go and we were there at 7:45 to go get set up, to be ready to go by 8, and checked in. So while we weren't on the green, I was packing up my little push cart with all my crates and bins while my wife went over to the check-in desk. So we had all received an email in advance telling us our assigned spaces, but when she came back from the check-in desk, she gave me a different number, or they had given her a different number than they gave me originally. So we were like, okay, we went to that numbered space, started to set up, got all our bins unloaded, and the instant I had all my tables open, I kid you not, some other vendor comes up to our space and they said, oh, well, at the check-in desk, they told us this is our space. I had to go back not once, but 3 times to get the correct number, just because at that point they were being bum rushed by all the vendors. There was a huge line. So it was a little bit of a snafu. So I think the takeaway for me was that I need to go up there myself. And if there's a discrepancy, I can be like, hey, this is what they told me. I have the email, and kind of argue it out there. Not that it needs an argument, but like hash it out there so that we don't waste time, because that wasted almost half an hour of our setup time being directed to the wrong space and having to move. So that being said, my wife was a champ. She really helped me just not only get everything into the space at once, but to get everything set up and situated. We've developed a little bit of a system with the last couple of markets. So she'll set up the table with the minis because she really has a good eye for how to arrange things so they look good. Meanwhile, I will kind of start stacking the crates, building the structures, and do the back table, which has all my medium-sized plushies, and then the table with my dragons. So while she's making everything look pretty, I'm just getting everything out there. So that was my morning. It was, by this time it was almost 80 degrees out. It was sunny, but fortunately we were in the shade. We were under these big spreading trees on the green, which helped shade our tent because I still have this black canopy. One of these days when I have the money to invest, I think I'm gonna get myself a new tent canopy that is white so that I don't have to suffer in the sun. What else? So once we were set up, it was pretty smooth sailing, but it was also kind of slow. By the time the first hour was up, and it was like, I think 11 a.m., I was like looking at my square very nervously because I think I'd made like $15. I had sold 1 mini capybara, and I was going to my wife going, I hope I actually make back my booth fee because this is really concerning. We had a lot of people kind of come browsing through the tables, look at everything, comment on how cute everything was, and keep walking. But the silver lining was that I've been to Pride before myself, and my MO when I go there early is I will go buzz through the entire festival. It is a huge Pride festival. We had over 100 vendors this year. And so when I go through Pride, I will take a walk and I'll just keep walking. I will try not to get sucked into any one booth because I know some, vendors can be real, can kind of put their sales pitch on and really try to get you to buy something, and that's like an automatic, I'm out of here. So I didn't do that. I was just like, hi, how are you to everybody? But I was hoping that some of those people who came browsing through in the beginning would maybe come back, and I was in luck. So a few people did come back. It was not a lot of sales for the amount of foot traffic. It was actually less busy than the Newcastle County Pride Market, and that was like, it was almost 100 vendors up there too, but we were in a tight, small space, and I felt like everybody who came to my table bought something. My wife went around Pride and just looked at all the vendors, and she said there were at least 3 other crocheters. I think when I looked through the emails, there were at least 4. And then there were other people who did fiber arts and people who had crochet at their booths. Our neighbors who had this really awesome booth, they had like all kinds of things from, you know, taxidermy to bones to pinned butterfly, like mounted butterflies in little frames. And they had a couple of crochet items at their booth. So we did okay. I feel like the total amount that we made today, that we made at Pride, relied a lot on people did buy some of my larger items, for which I was really grateful. We had one family that came through and their kid wanted some of my bigger plushies. So they bought the Anchor the Octopus. They bought Rory Sea Star, which was that jumbo starfish I have done in another video. And then right toward the end of the festival, I had one person come by and they fell in love with Sanjay, my strawberry dragon. I've had him sitting for a couple festivals and I'm actually really surprised that nobody's bought him before. I've had a lot of kids fall in love with him and had their parents tell them nicely that no, we're not getting this today because that's too much money. But this was an adult who was able to make their own decisions and they fell in love, and so they bought Sanjay the strawberry dragon and he finally went to his forever home. I was really happy. What else? The big mushroom guy did not sell, and I feel so bad for my poor mushroom guy because he fell off the table not once but like 4 or 5 times. The wind kept knocking him over. Originally I had him like right out front and center, so it was something that people commented on and kind of drew people into the booth. But toward the end of the day, the wind was really picking up and it kept catching that big mushroom cap and just whamming him over into the grass. So I put him back near the back of the booth where if I felt a gust of wind, I could like get up and hold him. So I was like holding on to my mushroom guy. I really liked having him out front, but I didn't want him to get ruined. So yeah, I saved him. Let's see, what else? Highlights of the day. It was a really nice Pride Festival. With the current climate, it was a little bit more intense than usual. It was very, you know, joyous and celebratory, but also I know that the community has been under a lot of stress in recent years. Pride was a protest to begin with, and it's needed now as much as ever. So I was really glad to be a part of that and to also be able to just celebrate with the rest of the queer community. Any other highlights of the day? Let me see. I did not sell any of the more kid-themed items, like the little raccoons and red pandas. I still brought them all home. I did have one person looking at Squeak the squirrel and they said they were going to come back, and of course they didn't because they probably found something else they liked or just got hot and tired. So the weather was not ideal for a market. I feel like whenever I get into June, I'm really pushing it when it comes to the weather. The Newcastle County Pride Market last week was super weather. It was in the 70s all day. It was light and breezy. We had a lot of shade. At Pride, it was hot. It was 90 degrees by the peak of the heat of the day. In the morning, as I mentioned, there was a lot of shade over a tent, but that shade kind of moved from, and I'm not really sure how it worked or why, but at one point there was shade and then suddenly we were right in the sun. From about like 12 to maybe 2 p.m. we were in the sun. My wife ended up taking a walk. She went to view the other vendors and just kind of walk under some booths that were a little bit cooler and not had a black canopy. So I kind of sat it out and just hunkered down in the back of my booth and put a fan on myself. I did have one of those little portable fans, so that helped. But about 2 p.m., like suddenly we got shade again because I think the sun had moved to where it was behind the tree line again, from whatever angle it was at. So fortunately, the tail end of the day, I did not have to sit out in the hot sun. What else? It was supposed to rain, and thank goodness the rainstorms held off until the end of the festival after we had all packed up. We were exhausted packing up, and it made me realize that I really need to pare down the inventory in my booths so that I can have a smaller setup. Would I do Pride again? I am not sure. Just because of the amount of sales versus the amount of work that went into that booth. We did have all 3 tables. All my basic inventory was there except for the seasonal stuff. I feel like summer would be a better time to do more focused markets. Places that are indoors, that are with, you know, the 20-something crowd that might be into, you know, fantasy or themed items, where I can just set up one table with a limited amount of inventory and focus on certain items that I know would appeal to that crowd. Indoors with air conditioning would be wonderful. I don't think I want to do an outdoor booth at this time of year again, but maybe I will look into some more spring markets for next year. All right, so let's get into the breakdown of what we sold and what we made. So I'm going to pull up my handy dandy square report, and I'm just going to go through the count of my items, kind of like I did the last time. Let's see. I sold, so first of all, I got Sanjay the Strawberry Dragon, which sold for $150. I sold Anchor the Octopus for, I think it was $175 for the big one with the blanket yarn and the hand-painted eyes. And Rory Sea Star went for $85. So those were kind of my main big items. Oh, I'm wrong. It was $95 for Rory. Of the smaller items, I sold one of my small $6 keychains and 6 of my large $10 keychains. 8 emotional support chickens for $15 each. 1 Millie the Mini Mushroom Guy, which were $35. I sold 2 Pride Flag themed little baby bees, and those were, I priced those at $12 each for the smaller bees. I sold 2 Mushy Boys. Actually, I think I might have sold, the Mushy Boys were $12. I sold 3 of my little baby starfish for $8. 2 Pride Flag Chill Pills for $10 each. 2 Mushroom Puppets for $10 each. I sold 1 Cheeky Turtle for $18. 2 Baby Octopi. I made a couple out of that rainbow blanket yarn, and those were $8 each. I sold 1 Mini Capybara for $15. And that was it. I had a couple of uncategorized items. Yeah, I had 2 things that I keyed in a custom amount, and I think it was a Mushy Boy and the Anchor the Octopus, because I couldn't find it in my point of sale. The total amount we made at Pride was $847. Of that, we got $626 was card payments and $188 cash. $33 Cash App Pay through my Square point of sale. I didn't do any Venmo transactions or Cash App using my payment sign because everybody checked out using the point of sale. Out of that, we spent $19.99 on Square point of sale fees. So the net total was $827.01. We also can subtract $100, which was the booth fee for Pride. So the net total for the day was $727.01. That being said, it was wasn't a bad day. I wouldn't say that was one of my best sale days. I feel like the rule of thumb when you're crocheting as a vendor is that you know, if you make 10 times your booth fee investment, it's a good day. That being said, you know, we brought a lot of inventory that I've made already, and the booth fee was paid way back. So at this point, I will call that amount profit moving forward with my business. Would I do Pride again? I am honestly not sure. I'm still on the fence. If I did go again, I would definitely want to narrow down the amount of inventory that I'm bringing. And the reason for that simply being just the setup and teardown was kind of brutal. I would also want to plan for the extreme heat a little better, although I feel like we did. We brought sunscreen, we brought tons of water and Gatorade. We were still, at the end of the day, really, really hot, even with the little fans. I think if I did Pride, I would definitely want a different color canopy. And just a little better setup to prevent things from knocking over in a slight breeze. What would I do if I didn't do Pride next year? I would definitely do the Newcastle County Pride Market because I feel like that festival is very well juried. So I know for a fact I'm going to be the only crocheter there who crochets the type of plushies that I do. So you're not going to have 5 booths with the same chickens and bees. If I did Delaware Pride next year, I would also bring a limited amount of inventory. I would probably only bring small items. I would focus on things like keychains, little mini souvenirs. Maybe I would have some sort of interactive thing to bring people in. So like maybe a spin the wheel or a claw machine type of thing where people can get a little discount and it would help to close some sales and stop people in their tracks if they're browsing. I definitely wouldn't bring as much of the larger inventory, and maybe I would leave the crates at home because that was just a lot to carry down there. I feel as if I stick with mini items, with smaller items like jewelry, cards, things that are compact and just easy to set up on a grid wall, we might do a little bit better. That being said, it was a good experience. It was definitely educative. And we had a good time overall. I'm really glad I went. What would I do next year if I didn't do Pride? I would probably sign up for some summer markets that are indoors in the air conditioning. I would want to look at some things that are focused on the 20-something crowd. So maybe a themed market like DoverCon, or some kind of Dragon Fairy festival, a Renaissance themed festival would be fun. I definitely want to do indoors, smaller table. It would be awesome if the table was provided already, so I don't have to lug table and chairs in and out of a building in the heat. And absolutely something where people are going with a mindset that they're prepared to shop and buy things and maybe purchase some items that are higher ticket. If we're at like some kind of art festival where people are looking for high quality art, it might bypass some of that hesitation of people to spend money, because if you're going to buy a small souvenir, you're looking for probably items around the $10 range. Whereas if, a lot of my stuff, as you can see here, I do a lot of detail work, a lot of things that I spend hours and hours over. So I'm looking for customers who are willing to drop a couple $100s on a super high-end artisan plushie that just speaks to them as something that they fall in love with. I definitely will do the Newcastle County Pride Market in the fall. We have the next one is coming up on November 7th. It's going to be on the green in historic Newcastle. And I already have a good amount of inventory, so I'm not worried as much this year about restocking. But I am going to focus my efforts on bringing some more unique items. Since I have repeat customers every year, I want to bring some things to the table, literally, that people haven't seen before. So I think I'm going to get into making some mini critters, like the little Pogley's Place creepy crawlies that I'm going to try working on. And I also have the Itty Bitty Amigurumi book by Zach Dorr on pre-order. So I'm really hoping that that comes in the mail within enough time for me to make those, because I want to make all of those. I want to try to make them baby safe, to have some baby mobiles that I can sell on Etsy. And I also will be bringing the individual itty bitties to market. So hopefully we'll have some more kid-friendly options for the future. Well, that is all, folks. If you have a comment or feedback or just something that struck you as awesome, please comment down below. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button so you can see all my videos and the next ones as they come out, because we are going to be exploring some new territory this summer, and I'm really excited to just be able to expand my repertoire of crochet and take you along for the ride. So with all that said, have a fabulous day, everyone, and stay creative. Bye!